Welcome classic rock fans to my review of all the mixes contained in this wonderful, wonderful box set. This album has to be one of the most artistically pure and honest statements made by any songwriter. Not even Dylan's blood on the tracks is imbued with such psychological suffering as is exposed on this album, with its themes of abandonment, but also the unravelling of pretense in a world where ultimately the answers are found within. The playwright Sophocles said there is one word that will free us from the weight and the pain of this life, and that word is love. And if I take anything from this emotionally fraught album, it's that love is indeed transformative. The lyrics in these songs reflect Lennon's personal issues, no doubt brought to the fore by his primal therapy. On this album, Lennon exposes himself in a manner that the generation that preceded his would have probably found indecent. What Philip Larkin would describe as their buttoned-up behaviours and tea-shop mannerisms. However, the post-war generation, my generation, have found these songs profoundly moving. From the funereal chime that ushers in Mother to the sarcastic world weariness of I Found Out, to the simplicity and plaintive beauty of Love. This album is stark and uncompromising. It's like picking at a scab. I know it's a pretty disgusting simile, but it really does feel like an open wound. From that agonised scream of Mother Don't Go to the litany of disbelief that ends the song God. As I said, it's a brave album. If I have one regret after listening to this wonderful box set, it's that I didn't spring for the 6-disc version of the Imagine box set. If it's anything as good as that, I think I've missed a real treat. And talking of purchasing, of course, there is, I've included some links below this video if you want to purchase this extensive box set, wonderful box set, or the 2-disc version, or the vinyl. If you do so using those links, my channel will receive a small commission at no extra cost to you. But anyway, let's talk about the mixes, shall we? The mixes in this fabulous box set are broken into different categories. There's the ultimate mixes, which are very faithful to the original recordings. They've been sonically tweaked and cleaned up a bit, and there's an emphasis on unearthing John's voice and bringing it a little bit more to the fore. And we get the elements mixes, which are about revealing certain elements that are perhaps lost in the original mix. Then we get the evolution mixes, which is very much about piecing the jigsaw together of each song and showing us how it evolved or came about. First of all, we get the song Mother. John's voice, as I've said, has been very much brought to the fore. That's something I'll probably say quite a few times in this video. But the bass is clearer and it really resonates. The piano sounds absolutely sublime. It rings out like a cathedral bell. The elements mix strips away all the music, so we're just presented with John's voice. It makes it more fraught to listen to, especially when his voice and the emotion isn't in any way cushioned or softened by the music. What's interesting about the evolution mix is the discussion of the bells that go at the beginning of this track. I found that quite revealing before that, as they go through certain aspects of the number. Hold On, the guitar, bass and drums sound a lot clearer in this version. It's perfect in this mix. It's warm and it's engulfing. And I don't usually accept cookies, but the second cookie is far more pronounced. It's much more noticeable than it was in the original mix. In terms of the elements mix, there seems to be some added echo or reverb to his voice. I don't know if that was perhaps in the original mix, but it's just more prominent here. It adds a dreamy, almost otherworldly quality to it. I Found Out has a more pronounced thrum to it. I think that's symptomatic of just good mixing and good mastering. It adds intensity to the message I think John was trying to communicate with this one. The elements mixes, I think his voice is starker. It lacks the double track. And the drums and percussion, I think, are emphasised more in this one. Working Class Hero, interestingly, the guitar strings seem to resonate more, as if they've been replaced for this mix. I know that's impossible. But it's a fascinating song. It's a song that reminds me very much of Dylan's Masters of War. It's a number that's been covered by everybody from Marianne Faithfull to Ozzy Osbourne. I have to say the cut in this song seems to be emphasised more in this mix. It seems to have been brought out even more so, but you know, it's there and it is what it is. The elements mix, I struggle to hear that much difference between the elements mix and the original one. Although I do think in the elements mix the cut is perhaps a little bit less pronounced. Isolation, I feel his voice is strongly emphasised in this one as well, and the music softly complements his phrasing before it's amped up with the double tracking. and the bass line in this song sounds really clear and prominent. With the elements mix, the whole number is softer, it has a more dirge-like quality. His voice is accompanied by an organ only. It's stripped bare, not as much as Mother, but it's pretty naked. With the song Remember, much of what I've just said about isolation I think applies here as well. Love, one of the most beautiful songs ever written. I love the fading, the way the song just swells into being. It's just absolutely beautiful. And the elements mix is softer, more ethereal. There's a double track on his voice. The piano seems to be missing, and the guitar, of course, is emphasised. Well, the bass drum as well as John's vocals are strongly emphasised. It sounds like the steady throb of a heartbeat, gives it some menace to it. I don't know if that was the intention. And with the elements mix, I think the vocals are emphasised even more in this version. Look at Me sounds as if it's a song that could have been lifted from the White Album. Everything is clearer and more nuanced. The guitar is intricate yet more pronounced in this particular mix. Look at Me, it seems to be a song about being seen. Perhaps for the first time there's certainly a vulnerability to the question, who am I? With the elements mix, they've stripped away the double track on the vocal, which makes it sound more naked, more vulnerable. God, the thrum of the piano in this one really announces itself. It seems to have been brought forward a little bit in the mix. It sounds absolutely wonderful, and his voice has also been lifted in the mix slightly. The elements mix is really fascinating. There seems to be more echo on the piano, more reverb on the piano, and his vocals are completely different. It's probably taken from an earlier take. The vocals on this mix lack the passion and intensity of the original mix. It's an almost fascinating deadpan take on the original, but nevertheless it has an honesty that is absolutely exquisite. My Mummy's Dead sounds very much like it did on the original. The elements mix sounds a little bit clearer and brighter, I think. The Evolution mix is fascinating because John in there is talking about the importance of the phrase "my mummy's dead" rather than "my mummy died." It's a fascinating listen. I know I've just talked about the songs that make up this album, but I have to mention the elements mix of Give Peace a Chance, which is on this. They've stripped away all the other voices, leaving John's solo vocal. And my word, he sings this beautifully. And we can really hear all the nuances of his phrasing once that cacophony of voices has been removed. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting and informative. I'd like to end by saying thank you once more to the Lennon estate for sending me this wonderful, wonderful box set. I do hope you'll all go out and purchase, if not this version, at least one of the versions of it. It really is worthwhile. So I'll just say, as I always do, I hope you're all staying safe, keeping warm, but more importantly, you keep listening.